Okay,
we go. Hello. I am Tasharia.
And I'm Tasha. And we're the Turners of Turner Talk Podcast.
Welcome in. Can you all hear us? We are having a slight bit of technical difficulties, but we're going to try to figure this out and make it do what it do.
If we can't hear us, we'll do it all in sign language.
Okay. We'll
hold up flyers.
Like on that commercial.
Cards.
See, that's what happened when you're trying to bring some word to the people. And they trying to.
The devil is busy today.
I don't know if it's the devil, the enemy, whatever. But we're gonna continue to.
Well, the enemy ain't in our house, so it gotta be the devil.
No, that is not. Oh, Lord have mercy. Let me see. Thank you all for being here. Welcome into the live stream. Please hit that thumbs up button and share the live stream out. We are going to make this happen. You hear me? This is going to happen. Okay. Is okay. I don't know what we can do. But let's see here. What about can you come in through another device?
I could try. Mm-hmm. Let me see.
Can you all hear us? I'm sorry, Yunetta. I don't know. Okay. It was just let's see if that'll work. Good evening, Lady Kenzie. Good evening. One Busy Mama, Cool Gamer. Hey, Jess. Good evening to you all. Hey, Life's Magical Journey. Hello, everybody. If you we have some moderators in. So once we get started, please, if you see somebody coming in, y'all know we are recording for a podcast. So once we do get started, because this will happen. We're gonna go ahead and claim it. Once we get started, just welcome everybody in, and I'll try to catch everybody through the comments because we want everything to go nice and smooth, solid as a rock. Hey, what's up? Let me see. What's now you done changed your name. I can't remember your other name. Hey, Christina, how are you? Welcome in, Karen. Thank you for being here. And so that's Lady Vanna. But what's her other name?
I don't know.
I wasn't talking. I wasn't asking you.
I don't know.
Okay, it says device.
She's switching devices. She's going to.
But wasn't it all the way out? Then now it's back. Let's see. Let's see. Okay. Here we go. Let's see now. Let's see.
Hello.
I'm still working on it.
We can't hear you
still.
Oh my goodness. Oh yeah, that's it. Fantasia. Oh gosh, I'm sorry, Fantasia. Please.
Real Fantasia.
She may as well be. Got my snacks. Okay, Kyrene, you ready? Yes. Okay, I'm sharing out the live stream because I know it's gonna happen.
Do you want to try it on that computer?
It's not this computer.
I don't know. I'm just trying to, I'm not tech savvy.
If it's a computer, they wouldn't be able to hear us.
Can they hear her?
Can y'all hear her? Is this us not able to hear her?
Can they hear me?
Okay.
No.
Okay, no. They can't hear me. Okay, she got something coming through for us.
Oh, no. She about to fly in.
Okay. You shared it. You shared it on your page.
Mm-hmm. I shared it on my page, and then I also hostage people's page and share it on their pages. That's what I do.
Okay. You can hear her.
They can hear me.
We just can't hear her. That's what I'm saying. Switch and see if it'll go on that computer. And we'll take the mics off.
Oh my goodness. Well, let's see here. What did you do?
That's weird. Yeah.
Well, I had to do it.
Okay, hold on then, y'all. Hold on.
Okay.
Okay, can y'all hear us? I mean, can
Hear you? Can y'all hear me?
okay, we're gonna switch.
We're gonna switch devices.
And let's see. No.
Okay.
Okay, just hold tight till we get it right. I don't understand that. Weird. But you remember?
But it had the mute down there.
But it should be some coming out so we can hear. Okay, let's switch.
Be with you one moment.
Hold on, let me see.
Okay, and I almost in the broadcast. Let's leave the studio. We coming in hot over here. I forget that ain't touch screen. Okay, let's see if we can hear now.
Okay, can you hear me? You still can't hear me? Nope.
That's what I'm about to see. Nope. Okay, let's see. Now, say something for us, please.
Oh, there we go.
I don't know.
You hear me now?
Okay. Yes.
So we're switching.
Awesome. Okay.
Oh, we're so sorry. I don't know what.
It's no problem.
Okay, here we go. Good thing we have backup plan. We was already locked and loaded.
I was going to say if somebody could log on to the YouTube channel and listen through the YouTube, maybe that would have worked. And
I normally am logged on in there.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see. Okay, hold on. Let me see. That's why I'm like, do y'all hear? Okay, so let's get this off. Keep forgetting that this Mac ain't.
Did I need?
Okay. Yes.
Okay. Give me 1 second because I gotta plug that one up.
It's hot. I got warm now. Okay, here we go now. All right.
The battery probably got to die.
Why the battery gonna die? No, it's not.
Is it? Okay, because it ain't plugged up.
Okay, that's all right. Let's just get it going now. Let's get it going. Let's get the party
all right.
started.
Miss Yunetta Springs, thank you for joining us. And sorry about the delay.
Oh, it's no problem at all. Glad we got it figured out.
Yes, and it was us all along.
But you working. Look at that. See? Okay. Go ahead and your intro.
Glad we got it figured out.
All right, everybody. We got Miss Yunetta Springs, and she is I know it's Spring.
Country. Not countries.
I'm country. I'm sorry.
You put an S on the end of everything. I know. It's okay.
It's not Kroger's. Okay. Go ahead.
She is the CEO. She's the CEO of Spring Forth Counseling, among a whole lot of other stuff. She is the counselor to politicians, pastors. Even they need a little counseling and prayer. I mean, she's just has a whole resume. I mean, when she accepted the invite, I was just like, I came home and I remember when I reached out to her and I came home and I told my wife, I say, the lady that be on Rickey Smiley, I emailed her. You did? How did you get in touch with her? I was like, I just emailed her. I said the worst thing she could do is say not reply.
Now don't be everybody going in there and emailing her like we don't.
Listen, it's fine. I got boundaries. I know how to use them if I need to. But we had a good conversation, and I like what you're doing, so I wanted to support you.
I appreciate that. I really do. And mental health and mental illness is really, really personal to us, and it's something that we want to get out so that other people can have the knowledge and the resources to be able to get help. It's real. It's real. So Miss Yunetta, I will let you. I won't say your last name because I'm gonna put an S on it. And just share some knowledge and help everybody get their mind right.
Yeah. So I'm Yunetta Springs. Spring is actually my middle name. Spring is actually my middle name. Yeah. So, yeah, I've been in practice for over a decade, working with folks in mental health, and I love what I do. Been on the morning show. It'll be we're coming up on 3 years now, with the Talk It Out Tuesday segment. We started that after the passing of Kobe and Gianna Bryant, and everybody was dealing with their emotions. So I came on the show to kind of offer some support around grief, and we've been doing it ever since. So I'm in Tennessee, actually, though. I have a practice here, and I do like a lot of trauma work. I live like near a military town, so I work with a lot of military connected individuals. I grew up in the military as a military brat. I wasn't a brat, though. We weren't brats, okay? Far from that. But I grew up, around military communities. So I served that population as well. And I just love what I do. I do a lot of work with training therapists, and the list goes on. I could go down the list of all of the things I do, but I love having like conversations with people about mental health and learning about everybody's journey and what, led them to where they are. Because I think we can learn a lot about talking about our journey, and sharing our testimonies and stuff. So.
And we have a testimony because, I mean, it's like I was telling you, people are scared. I guess they're a little bit more now coming out, but people used to be embarrassed or ashamed to say, I'm on medicine, I'm seeking counseling, and I just, when I didn't think that I would ever have to do it. It's crazy, but then when you have to, it's like, whoa. So am I part of the statistics now,
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's why it's important that y'all having this conversation, because a lot of times when we have, mental health concerns or issues, we feel like, we're broken or something is wrong with us. But, our mind it takes in, mental health and trauma is like an emotional wound, right? So we don't get stigmatized for going to the doctor or seeking help for physical wounds that you can see. But, when you have an issue concerning your mind, it's an emotional wound, or it could be like a chemical imbalance to some degree, and there's no shame in seeking help for those things. So that's why we talk about it every week. We're breaking the stigma every day. There are so many people who have come to me and said, I was listening to the segment and, I heard you talking about it, and that's what I've been dealing with and experiencing, and I didn't know what it was. And now I'm going to therapy. I have their friends all over the country, and they'll call me talking about somebody else that came here, talk about they heard your segment, and they want to come to therapy now. So I love it, because that was a goal. That was a goal for it.
How did you get into it? What made you decide to go into therapy? Like, you as a little girl, as you said, it's something I always wanted to do, or something you decided later?
I decided that I wanted to be a therapist my senior year of high school. I feel like everybody to some degree is drawn to this profession through their pain or through their experiences. In most cases, you've either dealt with something personally, or you had an experience like with a family member, and you want to make things better for other people. So for me, once my father was military, my stepdad, he was military, and he got out of the Army my senior year, and we had to move off post. And I had to go to a new school and kind of integrate with different people. And I wasn't here for it. I didn't want to leave my senior year, So, but at that school, I changed to, they had a psychology class. And I took a psychology class because I just needed the extra course. And when I took the class, I recognized, I was like, wait a minute, I've never heard of this before. You know what I mean? And I was like, and this stuff sounds real familiar. That sounds like, such and such to live down the way. That sound like the lady that, I started to understand like what mental illness was. And I was like, why have I never heard about this? I even saw some things about myself that I had experienced, and I had no idea that was connected to anxiety, or that could be depression. So at that point, I was like, I want more Black people to know what mental illness is, because if I don't know about it, I know my mama has no idea in my family. You know, nobody knew really what mental health was. And I think when we looked at it, we saw it in a very stigmatized way. We saw the person mumbling, walking up and down the street, or, you know, strung out, you know, not necessarily knowing that a lot of the addiction that we experience in our community is a result of trying to mask and cope with trauma, you know? Right. So yeah, after that, I went to school, got my bachelorate in psychology and continued on. At that point, I knew what I wanted to do, and I just kept on doing it.
And that's awesome. And you've been a blessing ever since. Like I say, my first time ever hearing you on Rickey Smiley, I was like you say, you listen to something like, that's me today. I'm going.
Yeah.
You know, like,
I mean, after every one of your segments, she come up. Let me tell you, I'm like, because it's something that we talk about a lot, because our son is just, you know, kind of. We're trying to figure out what's going on. Super smart, but having, you know, issues or whatever. And we like contacted like 20 therapists, and they was like, he's too young. And then he's like, wait till you get to school. Then the school wasn't responding how we thought that they would, or give us the resources that we thought. And then they talking about, well, never mind. We're not talking about us right now, but this is the thing. And I was like, to be some way we have to find those resources. And
we know we're not the only one with a kid that's going through something. So
exactly. And you know, a lot of times in our community, we feel like we have to wait until things are like rock bottom, until we've you know, used all of our resources and there's nothing else we can do to go to therapy. But I think that's great that y'all are noticing, okay, something is going on. Let's see what's happening. You know, let's see what's happening with our child. You know what I mean? You don't have to wait till things are, you know, horrible and you've tried everything before you go to therapy. Like, you can go now, you know? So yeah, that's good. And I've heard you can do therapy with kids as young as 1 or 2 if they've experienced something. So there isn't a limit or an age when you can start therapy. That's what play therapy is for. You know, kids can communicate. Yeah, so you can start therapy really young.
But you know, Yunetta, here in the DFW area, there's so few play therapists.
And one wanted to do it over like virtually, and I was like, oh,
his attention span. We tried that, and then he was like, showing posters. He's like, look at my Superman poster, you know?
Yeah, that's what they do. But that's, you know, how they connect. My friend is a play therapist, but she does a lot of therapy with children in Atlanta. And she was like, I was in the refrigerator today, y'all. And then we just ended the session because, you know, the kid just look at my room and look, but that's their world. That's how they connect, you know? So it is a little different. They're not going to sit in one place, you know, and talk about it.
That's good. That's good to know too, because if, you know, because the virtual play therapist said he needs somebody in person, but trying to find that is whatever. But at least other people will know that that is an option. If it's not available, you can at least try it out. So that's
good. For sure, sure. I have a directory. That's another thing that I didn't mention, but I specialize in EMDR therapy. Y'all heard of EMDR?
I haven't heard of MD.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I heard of EMDR behavioral therapy, but I haven't heard.
Yes. So EMDR is, I mean, it's fairly new. It's becoming more popular. It was found like in the 80s. It was developed by Francine Shapiro, but it's eye movement desensitization and reprocessing. So it's a treatment approach. Is a lot of the research is geared towards trauma, but it can be utilized for anything, any and everything for the most part. But basically what we do is we like use, if you ever seen like on TV where people are like watching a light bar or like doing eye movement or tapping. There was like an article with an interview with Prince Harry, and he was talking about like his grief and everything. And they showed him like tapping. And Yvonne Orji from Insecure, Molly.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
she has a new like a special on HBO. So she has a special on HBO, and she talks about EMDR on there, and you know talks about how it's like really, you know, talk therapy is it's effective, but talking is like surface. It can be level, you know, where you can talk about things over and over again and not necessarily see those lasting changes. But with EMDR, it's also like what we call subcortical. So we kind of get into the depths of the brain and where your memories and your experiences are stored and reprocess them and kind of reorganize them so that you don't continue to have the same triggers and flashbacks, because we kind of go in and reorganize, reprocess those memories. So it's really cool. It's really effective. It helps. Yeah, it helps so much. So that I do that a lot with EMDR. I help other therapists like learn how to integrate it into their practice. And I have a directory. So if you're looking for an EMDR therapist, specifically a BIPOC EMDR therapist, you can go to the directory and find one in your area.
Oh, yeah. So you have to be in person to do the EDMR?
No. You know what? I thought you did. I thought that until the pandemic hit, because I was like, I'm not doing this virtually. No, it's not going to work. Nope, not happening. But then after 3 months into the pandemic, I realized if I was in person with these folks, we would be doing some EMDR. So I finally gave in, and it's just as effective online.
Oh,
yeah.
But I've heard that too, and I've done a Reiki session virtually, and I felt some relief. So, we need to take that so we don't forget that, because we write notes and stuff. But
I have now in the show notes. You have all of the links in there, so you can click those links and find everything I'm talking about. So you don't have to worry about it. Yeah.
And we got your workbook on the way. We have the workbook on the way.
Oh, thank you.
The audience more about your workbook and anything else.
What made you come up with this workbook?
I know. I have a
feeling. Yeah, I said now, listen, a lot of us find this profession through our pain and our personal experiences most of the time. And for me, I figure every time I have a challenge in some area, I create a business or a product around it. So, self-care for me had been a struggle, for a while. I've always been a giver. I've always been like that reliable person, in my family and with my friends. And, having boundaries and learning how to say no and learning how to not overextend myself is something that I had to develop, through therapy, and something I continuously have to stay, on top of to make sure I don't, burn out. So I wanted to have a greater impact, because I had all these people who were calling like after listening to the morning show. And I was like, man, what is something I could offer people? Something that I talk to like everybody, primarily like my population that I work with in therapy. So I was like, I'm gonna make a workbook so that if you can't see me personally, you can at least start your process with kind of exploring your self-care. Most mental health challenges to some degree are connected to how you take care of yourself. You know what I mean? So a lot of people who are depressed and anxious, they're not really, not to say they're doing something wrong, but oftentimes we don't learn how to, set boundaries or how to, check in with ourselves. So my workbook, I got one over here. So it's bright and colorful. It's very simple. It's a lot of like journal entries in here. So, you really unpack who taught you how to care for yourself. Like, what are your examples for self-care? And especially in Black and Brown communities that we, may have not, received really solid examples of how to really take care of ourselves, especially as Black women, we go and give. And that's just how we're wired. That's just what we do. And then we'll check in with ourselves once everybody else is taken care of. Right. And this kind of helps you to recognize that you are more capable of connecting and taking care of others and supporting your family when you're well cared for. So it helps you unpack your relationship with self-care, identify your areas where you need to kind of grow and make adjustments, and just learn how you arrived in this space. So it's just a start. People who ain't ready for therapy yet, look at that.
About that journaling, how it's just freeing. It helps to unleash a part of the brain that you probably just lays dormant so easily.
And I need to get into journaling. She always says it.
Yeah, journaling is so therapeutic. It is. Throughout my life, when I was younger, I used to write poetry. Sometimes every once in a while I write now, but that was really how I healed, right? So I would have something that I was dealing with or processing or having a hard time with, and I would just feel inspired to write. A lot of times my poems was like, I go back and read them and I'm like, ooh, it was pretty like, but you know what? When I was a teenager, I had one of my poems published, but I've never like put them together, and that might be something I could do,
Another business,
that might be something I could do. But what I found is like a lot of times, especially in our communities, what we do is when we experience something painful, we stuff it.
Yeah,
we push through. So poetry for me was my way to kind of get everything out. And when you allow yourself to process and like really get things out, then we naturally have a way of healing ourselves. Like our body, we are created to heal. So this is kind of goes along with like EMDR. So like if you cut yourself or something like that, your body's going to naturally start doing what it needs to do to heal. Right. That's just how we're wired, and we can heal emotionally too. So by writing poetry, I was able to dump everything out, process my feelings, get them all out. And then my poems always shifted to like what we call an EMDR, like the adaptive or positive belief system. And they would always shift to like, but I know I'm gonna be all right, and I'm gonna be okay, and I'm gonna overcome this or whatever, this, that, and the third. But that is something we naturally do when we write. Right? When we share our stories, there's power in our story. So even setting 5 minutes aside, something can be bothering you, you could be fine, but just take 5 minutes and just write, just dump, right? Whatever comes up. And you would be surprised with how much comes out of you and how much you feel like a release once you're able to get that out. And it's bilateral. So that's one of the phrases we use like with EMDR. It replicates REM sleep. So you know how when we sleep and our eyes go back and forth, REM sleep, that's our body's natural way of like processing information and taking out the trash. So when we're asleep and we have that's why we don't get good sleep and we don't have REM sleep, then we have problems and challenges and illnesses or whatever the case may be. So when you sleep, your eyes are going back and forth, and what they're doing is processing your day. What do I need to keep and what do I need to get rid of? Right. And that's what we do with EMDR, but we do it in like an awake state. But when you journal, that's kind of what you're doing as well. You're processing, you're kind of writing from right to left. You're looking from right to left. And it's a natural way that we're wired to process information and to dump stuff out, take what we need and let go of the rest.
Yeah. I never thought about that.
But I've been reading the book, so I knew I could do that.
You can't give a person a book.
I'm telling you, because I wanted to know, because how you have some during the day brain fog and all that kind of stuff, and that is associated with getting proper amount of sleep. And I was like, well, how can I improve my sleep? If you want to know something, it's found in a book. Or you can go to somebody who I already know and you tap in on that information. But a lot of people wonder why they're tired or whatever. Oh, I only need 5 hours of sleep. Well, scientists have done extensive studies in saying that the average person needs about 7 to 8 hours of sleep. Allow yourself 7 to 8 hours of sleep to sleep at night. So how
many people really get that? I mean, your average person, but that's why 5 or 6 hours, probably the majority of the people getting 5 and 6 hours of sleep.
And then we wonder why we snap easily, why we don't remember irritable and have a hard time remembering things, because our brains need that entire process.
Yeah, it's like if you have a phone and you never recharge it, what's going to happen? It's going to run slow, So we have to recharge too. We can't just keep going and going and going and expecting to get good results. You know what I mean? Even throughout my day, having buffers and barriers, and I call it like utilizing the white space in my day. So if I have a break in between, like being able to do something to like reset. So like going for a walk or checking out or like reading or doing something that's not associated with work. That can be very restorative. You know,
Yes.
I'm a nap queen. I'm on a nap ministry. I would take a nap in a minute.
Yes, that's a good way to get additional rest.
Yeah, my family and friends laughing. Napping is good. Yep, I set a timer. It's like my body knows when it's coming. It's like, okay, it's time for a nap. I get away. Y'all heard of weighted blankets?
Yes, she got one.
Yes, she hated.
Yeah, some people feel trapped, like they feel like it's confining. You know, yeah, it can be. They have some that are more, you know, ventilated. But yeah, I have a weighted blanket and I set my timer, and I lay down 15 minutes, 20 minutes tops, and then I'm like, okay, let's go. I'm good. You know, our brain needs to have that break.
And somebody's commented that Jordan was great and he only had 5 hours sleep. A lot of and Yunetta works with a lot of, you know,
politicians, and pastors.
Yeah, a lot of, I don't want to say famous, but a lot of world-renowned people. And so and they state that they don't get this amount of sleep. And then in the book, While We Sleep, they were saying this person, but a lot of them took many naps that help with that as well. So what do you say about, you know, people who say, you know, well, this person only get, because I was on that mission for a minute, because I was like, I want to get it, because I'm going to be a millionaire. Well, but I'm going to be a millionaire. And so period. And so I was like, man, I have a plan for the day and try to work it out. So what do you say about that philosophy?
Yeah.
Do you have an opinion?
You know, I think it just really, my favorite response, it depends on the person and their lifestyle and what kind of foods did he eat? What kind of support does he have? What kind, you know, I'm sure, you know, he did a lot physically, you know, with being an athlete, but he probably wouldn't, I don't know if he was taking care of kids or he was worried about finances or he was dealing, you know, we all have our set of challenges. So, you know, you can't say that, well, this person did that and look what they became, because that person isn't you. Right. And what you and your body needs to be okay, and what they have, you know, said is okay for their body is completely different, you know, and there may be some other challenges that he's had. That's true. And what was the quality of sleep that he had for 5 hours? So I don't know what his quality of sleep was, if he was able to sleep for a full, you know, is mainly being able to get into REM sleep. You know, that's important. And some people take a longer time to get into their REM sleep cycle. So that makes a difference as well.
That's true. That's true.
You were talking one day and that was real interesting. And I was like, you know what? I find myself doing it a lot, but you were like something about your energy. You have to release that energy that stores. And I was like, that's me. I'll walk around. You say you don't want to be mad at 8 o'clock in the morning, and at 5 o'clock you still mad about the same thing. And I'll be mad at 8 o'clock this morning, and 2 mornings from now I'm still mad about the same thing. You know,
think about it and still. Yeah. So one thing I like to, you know, a quote that I gravitate to for stuff like this is, if it's hysterical, it's historical. Oh, right. Okay. So a lot of things that we're angry about presently is connected to something from the past. Right. So, you know, when we react in a way and it's like, dang, like, was it that serious? You know, more than likely, it's not just about that issue. It's about everything that this reminds me of, or everything that that's connected to. So like with EMDR, we always say the past is the present. Right. And we as humans don't know how to like complete the stress cycle. So the stress cycle is, for instance, if you see like an animal, if y'all have pets or have seen, you know, how animals, like if they get shocked or scared or wet, they do that thing, they shake it off and then they're good and they go on about their business and they're fine. That's the way they naturally reset. Right. That's the way they complete. Something scared me and I get it off, right? But for humans, for us, something bothers us, something scares us, something stresses us out, and then we hold it in. and we don't physically allow that energy to like release from our body, and we store everything in our body, our trauma, our experiences. There's like a special spot in your brain and your body where that's housed. So sometimes we have to, that's why I like walking. 30 minutes a day of walking can be helpful, or doing something active or dancing. I talked about on the radio, completing the stress cycle. You know, I ain't stressing the day dance. Have y'all seen it? Telling you, it's like therapy, okay? Because I've started doing that. If I feel like stressed out about something, and I'm like, ooh, let me get it off or whatever. Do a little bounce your shoulders, and you can feel it. Like you can feel it leave your body. So we have to do that too. We have to complete our stress cycle, identify what upset us, what happened, how did you feel about it? And then be able to release that from your body through physical activity, through rest. And sometimes we're talking about it. Like if you don't address what made you mad, then it's going to be it's going to come back again if it's not addressed. So
yes. And I think that's all of us. We how they'll say, well, somebody will go off and the straw that broke the camel's back. And it's not even you that they were mad at, but they end up taking it out of you.
Yep. This was the one. You just were the one.
The lucky winner. On a weekly basis, you come up with topics for the show in particular. And how do you like come up with it? Is it like recommendations, or you say, hey, this came to me, I want to talk about this? How do you come up? Because there's be some good stuff going on.
Yeah, I'm surprised. I grew up in church too, and I used to always be like, how does the preacher come up with stuff every Sunday? Like, how do you do it? Like, it's the same Bible. Like, how do you come up with something every week? I've been here for years and it's not the same, right? So I think about the segment. It's, it could be a combination of things. For me, I've just kind of within the last year or so started having monthly themes to kind of keep me focused. So I'll pick a theme for the month and then just map out like topics as it relates to that thing. But sometimes we'll have something going on in the media, like with, Takeoff being murdered, and like, okay, so we need to talk about that because people are feeling that now. And then we'll talk about that. So it varies. Some of it is what's happening in the media. Some of it is a monthly thing. Some of it is things that I'm hearing in therapy over and over again with my clients. So I'm like, if I'm hearing this over and over again with clients, then the collective probably needs to hear this message as well. And then I'll share it.
Yeah, you do a very good job at selecting the topics.
And I go through your page. I stalk people's page, especially if you got some knowledge. I mean, I'm always going there. What you post today was, and you had posted about a month or right, like a little bit before I had reached out to you. You had posted something where this little baby, the woman had a plate. That she was at the mall and she was about to sit down, and the little baby just snatches the chair as she falls, and you go, "I'll take." A situation and I'm gonna find a meaning in it, and you go, she wasn't supposed to be at that table, or she had to do that table. Like, what?
I forgot about that one.
Yeah, I was like, she turns it into pop. I was like, I can see that.
You're trying to sit at a table that you ain't supposed to be at that table, and this what God gonna do.
I grew that table.
Yeah, I forgot about that one. Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, and that's how my brain works. If I see something and it connects with, something. There was a video, because in EMDR training, we talk about there's something called a still face. It's like a still face study. It's from a while ago, but it was this study where they had children, like babies, and they had the mom engage with them, and the mom smiled, "Oh, hi, cutie," and the baby smiled with the mom. But then they had where the mom's face was just still, and the baby was like, trying to do all the things to get the mom attention, and the mom just kept a straight face. And then eventually the baby like started crying and like got uncomfortable in her body, like, why is my mom not responding to me? And it was just saying how that is developmentally how we bond and connect, and how that impacts, children with parents who have postpartum. And I'm not giving my child that smile that they need to know, like they're safe and they're okay, and how can it can impact them. So there was a video of a baby, a little brown baby, little cute little black baby. She was so cute. And her mom was was ignoring her. And she went, in the other one, it was a Caucasian baby, and she cried and did whatever. But this picture, the baby went like, like, oh, you just gonna ignore me? And what I got, it was so powerful because it was like, we naturally are wired to have our needs met. Yeah. You know what I mean? And for that baby, that was how she knew to get her mother's reaction.
Uh-huh.
Wow. Like, it was wild because it was like, wow, this ain't gonna get my mama's react. Like, doing all that ain't gonna work. This how we communicate.
Get on her level.
Right.
Get on her level.
Yeah. So it just show how we evolve, and that need to connect is like in our DNA, and it's cultural too. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Different cultures have different ways of connecting and bonding and stuff. So I had posted that I saw that and was like, wow, I see the difference,
Yeah.
And it's a difference. And I had a question, because like you say, you talk about issues that's in the news. Some of the I don't know what I can say. Sometimes I get the words mixed up. The
looking like, what is she about to say?
Because there's certain things you can't say on here. I guess, can I say shooting? Or no? Well, I said it now, but that the one that happened in Virginia, and also Virginia football players, and then the Walmart. I mean, there has to be signs. I know one person is suing Walmart because they kept hiring this individual over and over again when they knew something wasn't right. I mean, there has to be signs. But the dad of the guy that did that to the football players, he said that he was nice, never was violent. I mean, how are you able to recognize that? I mean, is that something that just developed, or were they born? I mean,
yeah, it's so hard. It's so hard to tell, because everybody is different. You never know what life experiences or what beliefs cause people to feel like that's going to be the answer, or that's the solution for me. One thing that I kind of anchor myself with when I'm working with people, or just like a human nature in general, is that, our goal as humans is to be stabilized, right? To be grounded, neutral, calm, to feel value, worthy, or whatever the case may be. But people's way of reaching that goal can be functional or dysfunctional. You know what I mean? So when you're dealing with situations like that, you don't know what they're thinking, or believing, but something in them feels like this is what's going to cause me to have some kind of peace or vindication, or whatever the case may be, in a lot of cases. So it's just really hard. It's hard to tell. There's so many factors that can contribute to that. It's like different levels to it. So yeah, it's just, how do we, hindsight is always 20/20. So, when stuff like this happens, and then we look and we're like, oh, well, I thought something was wrong with that person, or I figured something was going on. So I just encourage people, if you see anything that's off, like, don't be ashamed to snitch, you know what I mean? Or to tell, like, to give people help or whatever. If you know something isn't right with somebody, like, don't be ashamed to get them the help that they need, or, call somebody to take care of it, so people don't have to die senselessly. If you know something is up with somebody,
And some people are just weird, so you just don't want to call on everybody because
right? Yeah, just like, how do you get permanent?
Oh, I seen him over there. He was rocking. He's cold.
Yeah. There are some people that be just socially awkward or whatever.
Yeah,
you don't want to call people because
they look different.
Like, when you go to stereotyping people and stuff. Not that, but sometimes people who are really motivated to do these heinous crimes, they don't communicate it with anybody. If they're really motivated to do that, they're not going to. So yeah, it's just hard.
I have another thing about because a lot of people are dealing with grief right now. I don't know. I mean, I guess it's just more in this season of fall and winter, and a lot of people seem to be dealing with like depression. I don't know if it's seasonal. I don't know which exactly is the season. But because like mine hit in September because I had a loss. I had a miscarriage in near September. So it's just something that happens, and I know that. And I started doing sound therapy, and it's amazing that now you said EMDR, Gosley. But so now it's kind of. I said I need to change. When I think about it, I want to make the experience, instead of having a negative connotation to it, I want to have something beautiful to it, because you haven't won. Whatever the situation, you can't win, because I'm going to win. So I want to have a beautiful sound to that experience. And it's so, and I'm glad that, thank you for coming on here, because now it seems like it's a whole philosophy and some more that I can learn and go talk.
We can look into EMDR.
EMDR, you got it. Okay, right. But so like for somebody saying, I don't know if it's right for me or whatever, but they have this type of trauma, the workbook is a good resource. Is there anything else? Like somebody just say, I'm not feeling right. Like we talking, and and I don't care how many times we have to talk about it, because sometimes it may be just what you say that reaches somebody, and I can say something 1,000 times, but somebody else can say it and they'd be like, oh, you know what? I feel that.
Yeah, for sure. And it clicked. And like you said, like this time of year, just being mindful that it's difficult for a lot of folks. There is SAD is a mental health diagnosis, seasonal affective disorder. And it's when it gets darker outside, when it's colder. If you notice like what's going on, or everything's dying, everything gets cold, like we're connected. I believe that we're connected to, to the earth, and we feel differently around different seasons. We have different energy around different times of the year. So being very intentional to take care of yourself in the winter months is important, making sure you're resting, making sure you're eating well, making sure you're still being active. So a lot of times people get very sedentary around the winter months, and that impacts your mood as well. You're not able to produce like this happy hormones, oxytocin, serotonin, all those things, because you're not active. So that's important to, still remain active around the winter. And then you said grief. Grief lives, like it can live in our body. Our trauma lives in our body. So your body and your system remembers when the trees were changing. This is when this experience happened. Like when the leaves were changing, or it was cold outside when I experienced that. So our trauma it kind of passes through like all of our subconscious mind is like all of our senses. So you may not necessarily even be thinking about the loss, but you might smell something that's connected to a loss, and it brings everything back. And in the past, the present, so really being mindful of those triggers, that could be connected to grief, seasonal, like the holidays, those big events when you expect to see the person that you lost or had an experience around that time. All of that is connected to our experience. So when you said, I want to be able to look at this and experience this in a different way, that's kind of what helps heal it. Like, as far as looking at it, like, I'm trying to think of a way that you might look at, I'm alone, or I'm broken, or I'm hopeless, or something like that, and being able to look at it like, I survived, or be able to pull the meaningful experiences that you had with that person. Like, I'm so grateful that I had them for that season, what that experience taught me, or how I've grown, as a result of having a connection with that person. And that could be very healing.
Yes. And like when my dad passed, it's so hard for me to even come up with a word to explain it, because I feel like he's still here. He's not in there in the physical.
Yes,
but he's here. So I just say he passed in transition or whatever. And they like, I said that one time,
and she was like, I say, they think your dad turned into a woman. He passed away.
Oh, not the transition.
He died. physical body isn't here anymore. But what I found to be helpful is that I got more active because I was used to like caring for him, and once he got whatever, or when he was well, like him just being around. I'm like being around, And so then I got active. I got into refereeing. I started refereeing basketball, and I was like, okay. And then I had to think: am I masking grief, or am I actually, doing something to help myself heal, or help myself be more active, or help myself in any way? Because you can try to take your mind off, but whatever it is still there. It's still there. Or so what are you doing? But the activity. Physical activity helps the body in so many ways. After I became a certified personal trainer, I was like, I just want people to get up and move. I don't care what you do, just move around. It's not about losing weight or whatever. It is about how it helps the blood circulate. And if blood circulating throughout the body, it's also circulating throughout the brain, and it helps. And oxygen helps, So those are some great suggestions as well.
And I mean, she's a personal trainer, and I bought a whole bunch of workout clothes, and I'm gonna use them one of these days.
I'm big on activewear. Ask me, I got a hoodie on today. I haven't done anything active, so just put it on. You'll be ready. When it's time, you'll be ready.
You gotta stay ready, so you don't have to get ready. That's how I am. What I do is I don't have to say, "Oh, I got to go to the store and get something to work out." I got a whole bunch in there, nice little stuff too, and I'll put it on.
Put it on. Yep, that would help me. When I used to go to the gym after work, I would have to literally come in and put my workout clothes on. If I didn't put my clothes on, it wasn't happening. But the clothes kind of give you it's a responsibility. Like you got your clothes on now. Now what's you can eliminate the steps or the process to get there, then you're more likely to get there. So put the weight on your pillow or something, or put it somewhere where you can see it as a reminder. You'll get there.
And that is one of those. I call it. I forgot what I call it, but like in the morning, because I say I'm the type of person I say I'll do it later. No, I need to do this. Is one of the first things that I do. I pray and then I meditate. She hates it, but I sit up, I do my meditation, and then I have my clothes. 9 times out of 10, I have my clothes already ready. It's a subtle cue to my brain. Hey, it's time to get on, put this on, shoes. I mean, whatever it is that I need to get going. Because otherwise we create excuses, especially until we get into the habit of doing something. So
for sure. Routine is so important to our mental health as well. If we have to always think about what am I doing next, that takes a lot of energy to figure that out. So when you have a routine and when I wake up, I pray, I meditate, and I go to the gym, I don't have to get up and think about what am I going to do when I get up. You know what I mean? If you choose to do something else, it's cool. But when you have a routine, it frees up your mind so that you can have more capacity to make harder decisions. You're not all of your decisions on small, minute things, So the more you can eliminate that, what we call it decision fatigue. So if you don't have a routine, you'll have decision fatigue because you're constantly thinking about what I'm going to eat, what I'm going to put on today, what am I going to do when I wake up, which way. The more routine you have, the less fatigue you feel about decisions.
That is, I'm glad you put a name to it, because that's how I feel about meal. I said I'm not good at meal prepping, but I'm good at meal planning. So that takes the relief. I know we ain't got to worry about what we're gonna cook. Then we start arguing about but when we plan, it's less stress.
And it's a bonding for us.
Oh Lord.
Yeah. It's so funny. Yeah.
We get the bond, so we're probably gonna meal prep this week, huh?
No, we're gonna meal plan for sure.
Oh, we're not that great of cooks, but we can cook to where we're not gonna starve.
That's about it.
Yeah, as long as you're eating, then it's fine. As long as you're eating.
We are about to wrap up the podcast because Miss Yunetta is a very busy lady. I know that you all have your evenings to get to, but if you have any questions for Yunetta, go ahead and put it in the chat. Thank you so much for being here. All of the ways to connect with Yunetta and get the all the what is it? The workbook
and the
everything
EMDR,
is in the description of this.
The workbook is on Amazon, so you can order it, get it sent to your house. And I didn't change the price after Black Friday, so I need to go get in there and get it before I change the price.
One question before we end the live about EDMR. That's correct, right?
EMDR.
Okay, EMDR.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a time when you say, okay, I'm finished, I don't have to do it anymore, or is this a constant, just like therapy?
It depends. It can be, you know, what you'll find is that the things that bother you or stress you out don't necessarily come up as often, or you're able to resolve it quicker, right? Whereas, like you said, something happened at 8 a.m. and then 2 days later at 8 p.m., you know, you're still upset about it. You'll be able to quickly shift from, whereas if something upset you and you said, you know, I feel like I'm not valuable because this keeps happening, right? Mm-hmm. When you process that and the core of where that comes from, the event that kind of encoded that belief within you, then when things come up, it may bother you, but you're able to look at it from a different set of lenses. Mm-hmm. Once you reprocess it and reorganize how it's stored in your brain. So some people, you know, they do their EMDR work. I do like intensive therapy, where sometimes people come in and we'll work on something for a few days, or we'll work for like a block of hours. We'll work on an issue and then they're good. You know, they're good for a while, and then they could come back if for maintenance or some kind of big life transition or something happens. But it's very effective, and you can kind of get through therapy, you know, depending on what your history and background is, a lot sooner. It's kind of like concentrated therapy. That's what I call it. Like the little Tide Pods. You ain't got to use a whole cup of detergent. You just throw a little pod in there. And it cleans.
I use a whole bottle.
You ain't got to use the whole bottle. We get directly to the source. We get to the core of why that problem exists instead of dealing with the symptoms. Talk therapy kind of just deals with the symptoms. What's bothering you this week? What's bothering you next week? We kind of get down to the core of why is this even an issue for you? What happened to you that created that problem in the first place? And we address that part.
And you said you can find a therapist that specializes in one of these links?
Yeah, so my website is Groundbreakers Therapy.
Okay.
You can go to Groundbreakers Therapy directory to take you directly to the directory and find a therapist in your area.
Boom. Let me put that in the chat too.
I mean, it's you have shared a lot of knowledge. Like I say, even me not going to therapy as much as I should, just listening to you on Tuesdays, I make sure that I have the radio on, because I kind of between a little bit around 8:30, I'm definitely listening, because I'm always getting something or a way to deal with a certain issue that I may be dealing with myself from you. That's a blessing.
Yeah, for sure. And we all go in our own time, you know. So when you feel like you're ready and you're comfortable, then, you know, go for it. But as long as most
of the therapists, like the last one I had, she talked about her problems more. I'm like, well, you gonna give me half of this insurance money when you finish?
That's the thing. And that's maybe something I could talk about too on the air, because a part of the therapeutic relationship is being able to have conversations about that, like those hard conversations, because therapists are human. Like, we should know that we don't talk about our stuff more than yours, right? We like, that's something that we know. But if it happens, like, it's okay to say, hey, when I come in here, I feel like you aren't really listening to what I have going on, and you're talking about your stuff, and that's not the time for this. So if I want to continue to work with you, you know, I enjoy working with you, but can we change that? Like, can you kind of watch that a little bit, you know? And that could work wonders, you know, in a therapeutic relationship. So knowing it's okay to call your therapist out and let them know what you don't like about that experience. It doesn't always mean you need to find somebody else. Sometimes you do, but in some cases, it's things that can be worked through.
Yeah, a lot of people have issues establishing healthy boundaries. And it took me a while, and I'm like, I don't want to hurt nobody's feelings and all this stuff. And then I just got to the point where,
and I don't even care.
She don't care. I'm like,
it is whatever. I mean, like she said, I can't hold that in. That gets to you. I got to let it out.
Can't hold that in. Because I just want the world of, we want to like kumbaya.
And it ain't no kumbaya. Sometimes people, what my deal say, sometimes they got to get got right now. They got to get told right now. I don't need around. If you take a Band-Aid off fast, it doesn't hurt. But if I like peel a little piece off at a time, it's going to hurt. And she said that I need to change that.
I didn't say you need to change it. I said you might want to consider some adjustments, because I need to be, more assertive at sometimes. But I would just stop fooling with people instead of doing all this back and forth and connecting with your I don't have time. I just won't talk to you no more. I don't have to set them. The boundary is you cut off, period.
And I think that's something we're doing a lot with this cutoff culture. We cutting people off. In some cases, some people do need to be cut off, and that is if they're harmful, right? Mm-hmm. If they're harmful and you communicated a boundary and they've disregarded it, then you may need to cut them off. But a lot of times, we can use those as opportunities to strengthen a relationship. Right? We don't learn how to communicate or how to push through adversity if we automatically cut people off every time they cross us the wrong way. Sometimes having a conversation, and you can actually strengthen a relationship and have a more meaningful relationship when you're able to communicate.
Right. So yeah, it is.
I'm gonna try to work on that. I probably need EMDR.
Reprocess your cutoff.
We're gonna have to work on that cutoff. Boy, I'm good at cutting.
And like I said, I always go back to like this nutritionalist that I felt like wasn't applying the principles in which she was trying to tell me about. But I was like, man, this lady has a PhD, because I think she was one of them real high. Yes, I think she had a PhD in nutrition knowledge. I should have listened to this lady, and it ring back in my head. I'm like, now, girl, let it go, because you don't accept it. Girl, you gonna tell me? But that's very good. Do you have any final thoughts for us in the audience?
I'm grateful to share this space with y'all. Thanks for the invite. It's been lovely chatting with y'all. Love what y'all doing with y'all platform. And I always like to tell people, like, it's okay to not be okay. It's not okay to feel like you have to stay that way. So making sure you are taking care of yourself. No shame in seeking mental health. Listen to the morning show, get the self-care workbook, follow social media pages, Yunetta Spring, or Spring for Counseling and Ground. It's a whole bunch of them, but those Yunetta Spring for Counseling and Groundbreakers are like my 3 platforms that I use to put information out to everybody. But we were created to heal. There's nothing that you should be suffering through. Right. Mm-hmm. So if it's causing distress and you're suffering, then you deserve to be in spaces or to do what you need to do to heal.
That's right. You do deserve to heal. People say we was born in sin. So now you ain't gotta stay there. You ain't gotta stay
like that ain't nothing to look forward to.
Keep seeing it.
Oh Lord. Oh my goodness. That's because you've been hurt. I was trying to have an analogy, but just because you've been hurt don't mean you have to stay in that place of hurt.
Right.
Like they said in the comments, like we need to continue to debunk the notion that going to therapy means that you're weak or that you whatever the stigma.
Or we don't go to therapy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it takes a strong person to sit across from somebody and share, those vulnerable spaces. That is far from weakness. It takes a lot of courage to do that. So I tell my clients that every time how brave that is to talk to somebody you don't know, a stranger, and tell them like your deepest, darkest, most painful, embarrassing, whatever experiences. That's not something that weak people do. So
that's right.
Mm-hmm.
Appreciate everything that you're doing out there trying to save souls and save people's mental health.
And I know that you impacting people, but we just want to say it again because I'm telling you every week. Because I be at work during when the show come on, and
I'll call. I say, you busy? Like, what are you gonna tell me today? She said this. Yeah. And she's like, oh. I said, yeah, I learned.
I don't even have to listen to however to find it because she's gonna break it down, and we like, we need to talk about this on the podcast. I'm like, and she's like, I got on the podcast. I'm like, oh my god.
He's like, and
I said, how did you do it?
How did you get in contact with her? I emailed her.
And I'm just resourceful.
Yeah. We're so grateful to have you. We have all the links to how to contact to the resources. Her resources are in the description. We have our workbook coming. It'll
be here tomorrow.
Did you go to both too, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because you said, why'd you order one? I said, I thought we could work in it together.
I'm like, no,
I'm on my own book.
You're not in a place where you can get therapy, but there are some resources. Look at that last podcast. There was some talking about some resources to help anybody get some therapy at its different levels. The workbook is affordable, and you can start right there and start into like, I'm good. Most of the people saying they good ain't good. Probably good because we all have things that we steady.
We all have something to work through.
Work on and stuff. I'm telling you, because I know I see a lot of people snapping in traffic. I'll be like, girl, gone.
And I'm a truck driver, and I don't know why I don't have high blood pressure because I'm always going off.
Yes.
Every 2 or 3 miles, I'm going off.
So yes, check out the description.
Yeah.
We appreciate it. We really appreciate you doing this.
Thank you so much. Oh yeah, that is a good gift idea. One busy mom.
Yes, no problem at all.
And we appreciate it. We appreciate
it. It is definitely Christmas gifts.
And shout out to everybody live in full effect in the chat and those watching on the replay. We appreciate you, and we will see you all in the next one.
Peace.
Bye, y'all.
Bye. See you later. Okay, wait a minute. This is not touchscreen. I forgot.